Hello there and welcome to the 6th edition, coming to you live from our Abuja studios of News Central TV. I am Neota Igwe. Our top stories at this hour. U.S. ground troops arrive in Nigeria as Congress holds fresh session on genocide claims. The world commemorates World Cancer Day amid renewed push for reduced ailment-related deaths. UK Prime Minister expresses regret over appointment of Mandelson as ambassador to the US. We'll bring you details in a moment. Lawmakers in the United States are holding a fresh hearing on global religious freedom amid warnings that Nigeria risks sliding into widespread Christian-Muslim violence. Written testimonies submitted to the House Foreign Affairs Committee cite repeated killings, displacement, and rising insecurity as evidence of a deepening religious crisis. Former U.S. Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom, Sam Brownback, described Nigeria as the deadliest place in the world to be a Christian, warning of early signs of a broader religious conflict across Africa. The joint congressional session will also examine growing threats to religious freedom worldwide. Meanwhile, the United States has deployed a small team of troops to Nigeria following renewed security cooperation between both countries. The U.S. Africa Command confirmed the deployment during a press briefing on Tuesday. It said the move followed a discussion between General Jagvin Anderson and President Bola Tinubu in Rome last year. A deployment comes after U.S. airstrikes targeted terrorist enclaves in Sokoto State on Christmas Day. Nigerian officials say the collaboration is part of ongoing counterterrorism efforts and aims to strengthen the country's security capacity. In the meantime, fresh violence has once again shaken parts of Benue State as suspected herdsmen launched a deadly attack on Abande settlement in Kwande local government area. The assault, which occurred on Tuesday busy market day, left at least 17 people confirmed dead, including a mobile police officer, with several others still missing as search efforts continue. According to our source, homes were set ablaze, residents forced to flee, and motorcycles were reportedly taken by the attackers. By late last night, all recovered bodies had been moved to Jatoaka. The incident has again raised serious concerns over the absence of adequate security in Turan, an area repeatedly hit by violent attacks. Meanwhile, residents of Yelwata community in Guma local government area, Benue State, have begun returning to their ancestral homes months after devastating attacks forced them into displacement since June 2025. The homecoming follows massive reconstruction effort fueled by private philanthropists and a multi-billion-naira resettlement project recently flagged off by the state government. While over millions of naira in private housing interventions and a 1 billion naira donation from the First Lady Remi Tinubu have provided new routes for many, the returnees say the journey to full recovery remains a challenge till now.
We lack so many things: food, shelter, water, health. For the past year, a crop was not harvested here in Yerwata. Those that the people forced themselves to do within, not far distant, but were eaten off by the Fulani herders' cows. There were so many promises that they will rebuild the market and give us so many things here, but such things are yet to be done.
Further discuss this, I have Terso Akula, convener, TIV People's Progressive Forum, and member of the Vanguard Against TIV Massacre. Thank you for joining us, Terso.
Thank you. A pleasure to be here.
This is Yelwata, and yes, the residents are returning to their ancestral homes, but they, from what we're reading and hearing, they're still challenged as per return to normalcy. Why is that so?
Yeah, so it's because part of the reason is that due diligence has not been done, both in the documentation of the crisis and in the welfare of the people returning. So ordinarily, there should be a plan for people to go back to their ancestral homes. But in this case, there seems to be no plan. The actions to relocate these people back to their homes are largely uncoordinated, and they are left to themselves. They have issues with the SEMA, the State Emergency Management Agency, who has failed to unveil a roadmap, a comprehensive roadmap for their return home.
Well, as challenging as that might be, the mental and emotional recovery, as challenging as that might be, there's now this news of another attack in Kwande local government area.
That attack, actually, they had 2 days intelligence before the attack happened.
2 days?
Yes. So what happened was the herdsmen were planning attacks on 2-3 villages simultaneously. They wanted to hit Beji, and they wanted to hit another village that was close to Abande. Abande, where the attack happened, was originally not the target. But the security focal person in Kwande got a wind of the attack, and they deployed security agencies to these 2-3 communities. And because of the scarcity of security personnel, they had to split them into 3 groups. So the 2 groups went to the other group. So as the invaders were coming in, they were repelled by these security people, and some of the invaders were actually killed. Now, in the bid to retreat, they now hit on the soft target, which was Abande. So because it was not originally in the plan, there was no deployment to that. Now, what happened was that when this attack was going on, the security focal person tried to reach the security personnel deployed in the area, but couldn't do so. Why? One, they had gone off grid. They went to a place where there was no network. Secondly, when they eventually got them, they needed logistics, fueling, and arms and ammunitions rather to come and engage in a bandit. And before they would do this thing, they will get themselves together. It was actually over 18 hours. Now, if you understand the terrain of Kwande local government, it is difficult to traverse from one place to another.
Yeah.
So they came, but they were late. The attack had already happened, unfortunately.
This is not the first time this is happening, but why does it seem like Benue State is the main or like epicenter of these attacks?
So if you look at the terrain, Kwande local government, it's one of the most fertile terrains in Benue State. The Fadama around that area never goes dry. A whole year, dry season in and out. And these people have been occupying that terrain for over 20 years. They have moved a lot of villagers from the ancestral home into Jatuaka and Abandi, which are the 2 central towns. But I guess they want to increase their foothold on the lands in Benue. And so they are pushing the villagers further inwards. It's an attack that has been ongoing for a long time. And these people have been left on their own.
So now there's a question. Some will say, is it herdsmen or is it bandits?
It's herdsmen.
What's going on here?
For the attacks in Kwande, it's herdsmen. They come from Cameroon and they come from Taraba State and to come and cause mayhem.
So
if
you look at the map here, we have Boko, Katsina, Kado, Makurdi, Boju, and Otupo. Which area would you say is that's down this area, towards the southern part?
Yes, it's located in the northern part, just below Katsina.
Okay.
So the part that you are seeing here is Kwande. It goes more into Cameroon than it is into Nigeria. And this is the place that has the highest mountains in Benue State. So it's actually a very mountainous terrain. So it becomes difficult to get access to the next village. So that is the reason why.
So what's the best way to secure these farmers and this place in particular?
The best way
if you had to advise.
The best way to secure this is to empower the local community to be first responders to this crisis. They live here. The security agencies don't stay everywhere at the same time. But these able young men and women live here. Historically, they have been the protectors of this terrain. So if you empower them, what is happening is that they have come in contact with more sophisticated weapons, so they are powerless. But if you empower them a bit to respond to this crisis and call for help, then I think it will go a long way in securing this terrain. And by the way, this is one of the most under-policed terrain in the whole of Nigeria. Wow. So you can travel from here down to Cross River State, up to Mambila Plateau. You're going to find 1 or 2 immigration posts, and that is all that is about it. So it's a very vulnerable terrain. It's a very rich terrain in terms of there's so much illegal mining going on in Kwande at the moment as we are talking. And it's a very rich terrain in terms of agriculture.
So it's a combination of herds. Would you be right to say then that it's a combination of herdsmen, illegal miners and bandits all trying to gain access to that
For
area.
this particular attack, it was herdsmen. There are places that it's a combination of all. There are places that is just the mining thing that is causing the issue. But for this particular one, it was herdsmen.
Well, I don't know how else to say this, but Teresa, I just wish you and your people well. I know how concerned you are, but what exactly have you and your team, I mean, the Vanguard Against Steve Massacre and all of, what have you guys done apart from crying out for help?
We have done a lot of advocacies to the National Assembly, to the Benue State House of Assembly. We've tried to mobilize resources to provide relief materials, but it's overwhelming. The scale is simply out of this world. There's no one group that will be able to deal with this issue. We need help. We need support from the National Emergency Management. And 72 hours after this attack, there's no presence of SEMA in that village. There's no presence of NEMA in that village. The people are left to themselves. So we now have to start looking for resources and begging up and down for people to give us things to take to these people. They are displaced, as we are talking, women, children, and some missing after that attack. So it's underreported. You hear about Yelwata because it's close to Makudi. The mayhem that is happening in Kwande is far more than Yelwata. Long before Yelwata came to the headlines, Kwande was at the receiving end of this crisis. It's something that we need the government, to muster a plan, a realistic plan, not just lip service. There has been nobody has said anything about it officially. The people are displaced. Where will they stay? Where are they staying? This is at the resumption of the rainy season. Where will they go to? And you say people should not take arms and defend themselves. So what do? They are left for the slaughter. It's bad.
We've been speaking with Terso Akula, convener, Tiv People Progressive Forum and member, Vanguard Against Steve Massacre. Thank you for coming in, and we do wish you well. Let's hope that your cries will be heard and help will come speedily.
Thank you.
Thank you. A Kaduna State High Court sitting in Zaria has fixed February the 24th for the hearing of a suit filed by displaced communities whose homes were allegedly demolished by the Nigerian military around the Jaji military cantonment in Igabi local government area. The affected residents are seeking enforcement of their fundamental human rights, claiming loss of lives and displacement during the demolition exercise. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
This is what remains of communities neighboring the Jaji military cantonment, home to the Nigerian Army Infantry Training Center. The demolition exercise, which the military has acknowledged, has sparked controversy and legal action. The displaced communities are demanding compensation, resettlement, and livelihood support.
We are so happy that the army, by their processes that they have filed, they have agreed that they demolish the houses. So, but they just try to coin it to say that they demolish shanties and criminal hideouts. We believe that it is now for the court to do its part. It's just unfortunate that the Kaduna State government did not do anything for these people. They could not provide an alternative accommodation, and they didn't do nothing.
So I'm here because I'm one of the victims, a resident of the unfortunate community that was illegally demolished, dehumanized, and destroyed by the military without compensation. That is under Kaduna district of the local government, and about 7 communities that they just utilized against court order, against all appeal.
In a joint counter affidavit, the Nigerian Army admitted demolition what it described as shanties and criminal hideouts, not homes or places of worship. Attempts to reach the Army Council for comment were unsuccessful as he left the court premises shortly after proceedings. The court has adjourned the matter to February 24 for the defense to open its case. In Kaduna for News Central, Emmanuel Bagudu.
When 6th edition returns, we'll be looking at Nigeria joining the world to commemorate the World Cancer Day. Do stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, here's a recap of our top stories. U.S. ground troops arrive in Nigeria as Congress holds fresh session on genocide claims. Nigeria joins the world to commemorate World Cancer Day amid renewed push for reduced ailment-related deaths. UK Prime Minister expresses regret over appointment of Mandelson as ambassador to the US. Cancer remains one of the leading causes of death worldwide. In Nigeria, many patients are still diagnosed at an advanced stage when treatment options are limited. As the world marks World Cancer Day, health experts are warning about the dangers of late detection and stressing the urgent need for awareness, screening, and timely treatment. News Central's Emmanuel Olubobokun reports.
Cancer rarely announces its arrival. It creeps in quietly, often unnoticed, until the signs become impossible to ignore. World Cancer Day, observed every 4th of February, draws global attention to a disease that continues to claim millions of lives, many from cancers that are preventable or treatable when detected early. In Nigeria, the reality is even more troubling. Late diagnosis, fear, stigma, and the high cost of treatment mean many patients seek medical help only after the disease has progressed. Breast, cervical, and prostate cancers remain among the most common and deadliest, leaving families devastated and communities in mourning.
Some people say, is it a death sentence? But the good thing is that some cancers can be curable or even prevented if they present on time. Okay, I know it's not easy. Cancer management can really be a bit heavy on the patients. I mean, it has to do with a lot of grief, pain, resilience, and hope. We should individualize these patients' cares. We should individualize their treatment, their problems, and make ourselves available to help them.
Yet, behind every diagnosis are stories of courage, resilience, and survival. Stories that challenge the belief that cancer is always a death sentence.
Mom Josephine asked me to be attending the meeting. Through that meeting, I came to the knowledge of cancer. Since then, I've been, preventing my skin. The experience is very, very bad. Some severe pains. At times, I won't be able to sleep. I will not be able to sleep. When that chemotherapy is done initially, maybe some few minutes, you start paining, you swell up. The thing will swell up. You bring out series of color. You can see now there's nothing there now. The chemotherapy have, clear everything. The one at the back, it got to some weeks or months before it can be healed with treatment, with drugs and injection.
Health experts say fear and silence remain some of cancer's deadliest weapons. They stress that regular screening, open conversations, and community support can significantly improve survival rates.
The cancer diagnosis is not a death sentence. If you catch it early, you can cure. If we have the screening culture, it will go a long way in the treatment outcome. Then our mindset, there is no excuse for ignorance. We should all go out there, be our brother's keeper. You see people in this condition, or you've gone through this treatment and you saw that your treatment was successful, and you see somebody else in this kind of situation, encourage them and push them out. So by working on the modifiable risk factors that we have power over, we will have a better chance of preventing these cancers.
As the world marks World Cancer Day, the message is clear. Replace fear with knowledge, silence with action, and stigma with support. Because in the fight against cancer, awareness can mean survival, and early action can mean life. In Lagos, for News Central, Emmanuel Olubobokun.
I'm now joined in the studio by Dr. Bullis Gabriel, Clinical Director, Oncology, African Medical Center of Excellence, and virtually I have Dr. Chinedu Arua, oncologist at the National Hospital, Abuja. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me start off with Chinedu, who's at National Hospital and joins us virtually. Chinedu, well, when we were reading, before we heard that report from my colleague Emmanuel, we're talking about the fact that most times in Africa, cancer is discovered at a very late stage. And what would you say is the reason behind this? Tradition or ignorance?
Well, it's multifactorial because culture plays a major role, and the wealth of knowledge of the patient equally is contributory. And then we look at environmental factors, socio-cultural, socio-economic milieu in which the patient finds himself, and availability of the experts, and health-seeking behavior of the individual. So there is a multifactorial factors that cause why patients present very late, and that late presentation is one of the major causes why we do not have a cure. Normally, patients present at a point where we are talking of palliative instead of curative intent.
Okay, so Bullis, we now have specialist hospitals across the country, and yours is one of those as seeking center of excellence, so to speak. But yet, what Chinedu has talked about, that culture, traditions, and then sometimes ignorance also plays a role. So you have some of these cases coming in so at a very late stage. What do you do?
Yeah, thank you for this question. I think I agree with my colleague, but I have a different point of view. What makes anyone comes late is fear, stigma. For females with breast cancer, she fears we are going to cut her breast out. For males with prostate cancer, he may think he is going to lose his potency.
Yeah, you know what Chinedu said was, he said multifactorial.
Yeah.
I was the one that just focused on the culture, and but you added the one called fear. So culture, tradition, fear, ignorance.
Yeah. So how come we should move now? So we need to turn into action. And your program and this time now is one of these actions. We need to raise awareness for those who ever going to be afflicted with this disease. Early detection saves life. Early detection saves life, number one. Number two, you have too many good people in the country in terms of experts, in terms of diagnostics, in terms of everything. So please, it's a call for action. Whatever you have, go early to check with your physician, or check yourself once at least per year for common cancers.
But Chinedu, back to you here. The question then will be, what are those things that might lead up to a cancerous situation? Are there any causative factors that one can easily lay hands on that are avoidable? And Bullis talked about check yourself. Do I need to go to the hospital to check myself? We do know that for breast cancer, you feel for a lump and all of that. But what else? There might be other cancers. How do we even begin?
Okay, there's a lot of, let me put it again, multifactorial risk factors that may lead to cancer. So it depends on the cancer you are discussing. Are you discussing breast cancer or prostate or colorectal cancer or head and neck cancer or whatever you call it, blood cancers, maybe non-Hodgkin's lymphoma or lymphomas. So it depends on the cancer you are discussing about. So, but in overall, we look at those that are preventable. The one that by activities of a man, you can prevent them. And there are some that are hereditary, in which there's a genetic factor, which is about 5 to 15% are genetic. The others are sporadic. So that sporadic factors is that there's nothing much you can do, but you can do some life-modifying take some life-modifying actions that can be a little bit preventive. So the bottom line is just going for screening tests and early detection, just as my colleague said, which will help you to strengthen the diagnosis and also ensure early intervention. Okay. Because early intervention is the key to curing cancer.
Early intervention, early detection, Okay, early detection,
Yeah.
early intervention. Bulus,
Yeah.
is there anything, when it is even discovered that cancer is there, precision treatment, do we have that available in Africa?
Yeah. So the good news, we have it. And let's see first what is precision is. We need to increase the probability of curing the cancer and reducing the probability of side effects, right? We will be successful to do so if we discover the disease early. Luckily, we have, where I'm practicing now, the precision oncology techniques, the cutting edge technology, the expertise in place. So we have access, I think, yes, we have.
But does that cut across Africa? We have in the National Hospital, what do we do? Because right now the theme for this year is replacing fear with hope, right?
Yeah.
How do we take out fear and bring in hope for everyone? And this goes for the two of you. You have 30 seconds to answer this. What do we do to ensure fear is knocked out and hope is brought out for everyone? Since I started with Chinedu, let me start with you because I'll end with Chinedu.
Yeah, I like this question so much. So currently, I have been here in the country for the last 15 months. I started to build a lot of good networks and a lot of friends from everywhere. National Hospital is a serious hospital. It's a huge hospital in the country. And now we have this friendship collaboration of, if I do not have the technique, I refer to you. If you do not have the technique, refer to me. So what we have now is like multidisciplinary discussion for the sake of assure the patient. We are trying to impact patient's life, trying to reduce fear and increase hope.
Chinedu?
What I want to say that we need to up our game in terms of cancer awareness campaign, and also to let people know that diagnosis of cancer does not mean death sentence. And most of the campaign have been a internship affair. It's high time we translated this campaign in various languages and get it down into the villages and towns, all the nook and cranny of the country, and that will help, especially using those who are equally the experts who are in the field, and also you people who are in the media, spreading the news that we have the available equipment, we have the available experts that can help you take care of this disease when it is detected early, and early intervention is instituted. So that will help us to knock off the fear, because, and also the amount of information that the patients get is equally very helpful, and improving their health-seeking behavior through this media, social media, through radio jingle, through TV, through every source of media information. Equally help.
Thank you so much, Chinedu. Thank you, Bulus. And just before I let you guys go, let me add in my own. I know Chinedu mentioned something about lifestyle change. Get active, exercise, eat well, sleep well, rest, and check yourself, know yourself, but also talk to a medical person. No matter what, don't worry. There's hope everywhere. I mean, as they said, the technology is on ground, but it starts with you, right? That's what you did.
So much.
Okay, thank you so much. We've been speaking with Bulus Gabriel, Clinical Director, Oncology, African Medical Center of Excellence. And virtually we had Dr. Chinedu Arua, Oncologist, National Hospital, Abuja. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming in this evening.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
We'll take a moment, and when we'll come back, we'll be looking at other matters. Do stay with us. Well, welcome back. It's no longer news that the United States Department of Homeland Security is set to deport about 79 Nigerians tagged worst of the worst criminals. This followed a renewed crackdown on high-risk foreign nationals under the Trump administration. Those affected, mostly former convicts, were arrested by Immigration and Customs Enforcement for crimes including manslaughter, rape, robbery, fraud, and drug trafficking. Named on the list, a couple of names are also put down there on the list of those who are going to be deported. Over the last decade, the deportation of Nigerians from the United States has undergone significant shift in both volume and enforcement focus. In 2016, roughly 240,255 total foreign nationals were deported, with Nigerians consistently ranking among the top African nations targeted for removal. Between 2021 and 2024, deportations stabilized but continued at a lower annual average. Interior removals focused primarily on those with aggravated felony convictions. Since January 2025, there has been an unprecedented surge. Recent reports indicate that over 3,690 Nigerians were placed on final removal orders as of early 2025, with deportation flights to West Africa tripling in frequency compared to the previous 4 years. The U.S. government categorizes removals into criminal grounds and immigration status grounds. High-profile offenders face mandatory removal for severe crimes. This worst of the worst list includes individuals convicted of manslaughter, rape, narcotics, trafficking, and significant fraud, prioritizing the permanent expulsion of violent threats from American neighborhoods. Most Nigerians face deportation for non-criminal status violations rather than felonies. These 3,600 plus individuals typically include those who overstayed visas, worked without authorization, and had asylum claims denied, forming the majority of their removals. Now, let's look at a breakdown of crimes supposedly committed by Nigerian nationals in the U.S. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security released an update on a wide-reaching crackdown on financial offenses, including identity theft, wire and mail fraud. Tops the list for targeting businesses and the elderly. Convictions also spanned violent crimes such as manslaughter, kidnapping, and armed assault, alongside strict sentencing for sexual offenses against adults and minors. Further, authorities secured jail time for narcotics smuggling and dismantled criminal networks through money laundering and conspiracy convictions. Officials say these rulings underscore international cooperation in maintaining public safety and order. But while we're looking at what we're hearing about this, let's look at the impacts that Nigerians have made in the U.S. In the halls of power, the Nigerian diaspora has transitioned from participants to architects of global policy. Wale Adeyemo made history as the first African-American U.S. Deputy Secretary of the Treasury, steering the world's largest economy, while across the Atlantic, Kemi Badenoch rose to lead the UK opposition. Now, at the local level, leaders like Yemi Mobolade, the first Black mayor of Colorado Springs, proved that Nigerian excellence is reshaping governance from grassroots cities to international summits. The intellectual capital of Nigeria is driving the world's most advanced breakthroughs. Dr. Benneth Omalu fundamentally changed contact sports by discovering CTE, saving countless lives through forensic science. In the stars, Wendy Okolo pioneers aerospace research for NASA, while on the ground, entrepreneurs like Tope Awotono and Silas Adekunle have revolutionized the digital landscape through billion-dollar platforms like Calendly and cutting-edge robotics. Nigerian visionaries now command some of the most influential boardrooms in the West. Adebayo Ogunlesi oversees critical global assets, including London Gatwick Airport, through his infrastructure empire. In entertainment and venture capital, Pierlina Igbokwe leads the Universal Studio Group, and Jessica O. Matthews merges finance with social impact. Their success stories highlight a move from traditional labor to high-stakes ownership, cementing Nigeria's role as a powerhouse of global capital. Well, I'm being joined by another Nigerian, a global affairs analyst, Ejike Okpa, who joins us virtually from Dallas. Hello, Ejike.
Hey, thank you for having me.
You're one of those Nigerians who's making waves out there. Thank you.
I'm just a fish swimming in an ocean.
Talking about fish swimming in an ocean, Ejike, well, let me just introduce the other person we have here in the studio. We have Olani Obieton, who is the Secretary General.
Omoni
Obieton, forgive me there, who is the Secretary General of the African Public Relations Association. Thank you for joining us as well.
Thank you.
So let me start off with you, Ejike. These news about Nigerians being deported, this is not the first time. I mean, records have it that over 3,000 Nigerians have been deported over time. But this is the latest one. 79 are already being put together to be deported, and most of them have been convicted for one crime or the other. But I wanted us to start off from the angle of how ICE has been carrying out these crackdowns, so to speak, if I could use that phrase, these crackdowns to move some elements out of public sphere in the U.S. How would you describe
You
it?
know, thank you for the question. If you look at the circumstances or the allegations, you know, obviously it's no longer an allegation. How and why these guys have been removed. You know, they are proven criminals. You know, just like every one of us, you know, when you invite people into your home, you don't want certain elements to be your guest. So, you know, ICE is justified in the way they did it, and most people may not like it. You know, the reaction has been plus and minus, but America has always deported people. When Obama was there, he was considered the deportation chief in command. You know, he's done the most deportation as a president in most recent history. It's just the way people react to what Trump does, you know, that makes it look like it is bad. You know, immigration is not a right, it's a privilege. And so when you come, you have to conduct yourself in a certain way so that you can become, you know, legal and move your status. I came as a student, I became green card holder, I became a citizen, I ran for mayor, I ran for Congress. You know, nobody's not going to ever deport me, you know, because again, you know, Igbo people have this expression: when a chicken goes to a new farm, you stand on a foot until the owner of the farm says, welcome, you put down the other one and you take off. Most Nigerians come here and they take it for granted. You know, they do certain things, and at the end of the day, they jeopardize their own status, and then they expose themselves to what the Lord, you know, is going to come after and have them convicted. In 1989, when I was regional appraisal manager for the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation in America, was the first time Nigeria was convicted of credit card fraud. 1989, because at the time, you know, we used to receive the credit file of people who borrowed money and all kinds of stuff. You know, if even those guys, I knew them at the time, they even tempted me. They say, hey, you know, if you can bring us a social security number of certain people, you know, they give me $100, you know, for each name. And I was so offended by that. You know, criminals don't change spots. You know, these people, if you look at their background in Nigeria, they were also already maybe criminals. So I was so offended, and I kicked those people out of my life. I said, I don't need that kind of money. I will never do it. So, you know, while we may sympathize for them being deported, the other issue is, hey, these people are adults. They knew what they were doing. So there's no sympathy for when adults behave delinquently. You know, I even my family members, if you come to America and abuse the right of me inviting you, I'm going to be the first one to turn you in. And that is what sanitizes a society. We should not condemn criminals. They are bad business.
Indeed. I do agree with you there. Omoni, AGK is one of those. I mean, we had a list of Nigerians who are making impact. AGK is one of those. I mean, you heard what he said. As at 1989, he was regional director or regional manager of an insurance company in the US. But, you know, at one time, you were here because last week or thereabout, we had that conversation about the reputation of a country. This news has some people say, Nigerians are all bad, but there is AGK, and there are others, many others like that. So how do we go about this?
Okay, so thank you. It's good to be back here. As the Secretary General of African PR Association, naturally there will be concern. I mean, beyond Nigeria, about what Africans are doing out there. Crime has no tribe. I agree entirely with what AGK has said. If a member of my family is involved in crime, I'll be the first to turn him or her in. So if you travel to a country, or even if you live in your own country, I mean, there are laws to govern the space, and you have to comply. If you read what I wrote recently, I think it's about a week ago, I said, look, in any republic, there is nothing like unaccountable powers. Nobody has such, including the President of the Republic of Nigeria. So it means that you have to abide by the law if you live in a space that is defined, you know, as a human space. So I'm disturbed by what has happened. I love to see everybody, every migrant from here, every Nigerian in the diaspora, every African in the diaspora live by the laws of the country where they have found themselves. Okay? So now, what's the other concern? Okay, you are getting people who are already convicted, deported. Have they finished serving their terms? Have they?
Most of them have.
So if they have there been some measure of, penitence, some remorse? If that has happened and they've been integrated back into the society, I'm wondering whether we'll say this is being done in good faith. Okay, that's a concern I raise. I do not justify criminality by raising such an issue. But here is another thing that is of interest to me. For every identified Nigerian in the diaspora who is supposedly a criminal or has even been convicted, under a fair process, we have hundreds of other geniuses. You have mentioned Tokwe Awutono. You remember, other people are Opa Tometi. He's one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter.
We'll take a moment. We need to go on a quick break. We'll come back. We'll tidy up this conversation. Do stay with us, please. Welcome back. I still have with me in the studio Omoni Ibieton, Secretary General, African Public Relations Association, APRA, and joining us from Dallas, AGK Opa, Global Affairs Analyst. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming in. We have just about 2 minutes, so let me... Omani will speak and we'll end with you, AGK. Omani, you were saying some things. You can just tidy up.
I mentioned Tokwe Awutono, who, of course, is on record as one of the richest Nigerian American. You have Dr. Bennett Oruma, who you mentioned earlier, whose discovery, globally recognized forensic pathologist. Okay, you have other people like Chimamanda, who's made waves there. You have already mentioned Awolesi. There are quite a number of them. Now, just 2 weeks ago...
You didn't mention AGK Okpa.
Yeah, of course. By the way, AGK, thank you. It's good to have you here. So what I'm saying in essence is, just 3 weeks ago, we have people gathered in Lagos from all over the world to celebrate Professor Biodun Jeyifo, accomplished literary scholar, and Marxist scholar whose commentary was quite instrumental in shaping most of the writings of Wole Soyinka, who eventually became a Nobel laureate. Biodun Jeyifo is 80. Many of his students are already professors. One of them, Gopal, came from the UK, where she's a professor at Oxford, as a keynote speaker at the 80th birthday celebration of somebody who is an emeritus professor at Cornell and was also at Harvard. And then that's why I said, for anybody who's been identified as a criminal of Nigerian origin in the US, we have hundreds of geniuses. And so it's important that when Nigerians found themselves in foreign countries, they keep the law and ensure that they do not do anything that sounds as a blemish or a blight on the reputation of Nigerians that
Thank you very
are
much.
making waves.
Educate your closing thoughts, please.
No, this is all good, but what I see with the Nigerian population, whether home or abroad, is the celebration of culture of low expectations. Let me give you some perspective. The first Nigerian that came to America that was recorded at the Ellis Island was in 1918, 4 years after amalgamation, a Calabar man. Shortly after that, Zeke came and some other Yoruba people came. So 108 years of Nigerians' presence in America, and we're celebrating a handful of people because of what? There is no zip code or census tract in America that is dominated by Nigerians. That's how America measures people, not this scattershoot to one off and this and this and that. The point is, again, Nigeria had the electricity in 1896, 14 years after America. How has the Nigerian diaspora enabled electricity to be Nigeria after 100? Yes, one bad apple spoils the bunch. Okay, when I worked for the FDIC, we used to get this criminal report in terms of crime by ethnicity. Nigerians are the lowest. When you look at the nationalities in America or ethnicities who commit, Nigerians are the lowest, but Nigerians are the loud, very loud people. They steal $1,000 and they go throw a party for 10,000, and then you begin to irritate people you live in. I think what matters is we have to manage our public relations. America is about public relations, not the individual professor, this and that. 80% of Nigerian professors that teach in universities are not even tenured. Okay, you're talking about Harvard. I'm a Harvard alumni. There's no Nigerian tenured professor at Harvard. Okay, so the point is, how has Nigerian presence, either UK or US, enabled Nigeria economy to grow? Not one individual coming in and flashing stuff, and everybody's a culture of low expectations. Come and see what immigrants that came from countries that typically don't speak English have done in America. Nigerians come with English. What have they done? What is the addition of Nigerian activities in America to the GDP of America? It's less than 1%. But you look at Cambodians that come in there and they do nail salons.
All right.
They are making up to 100 billion. So what I'm just saying, let's shift to the thing. Yes, it's good to celebrate individual accomplishments, but how is the home country doing? The Nigerian image needs to be laundered so that it becomes a positive one. You know, one apple spoils the bunch. And this one apple is spoiling the bunch of Nigerians.
Thank you so much, Ejike. The Nigerian image needs to be laundered so that one apple does not spoil the whole bunch, continue to spoil the whole bunch. Thank you so much. We might just have to hang it there for now. Ejike Okpa, Global Affairs Analyst, joined us from Dallas, Texas. And we also had Omoni Ibieton, Secretary General, African Public Relations Association, APRA. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Libya's Attorney General Al-Sadiq al-Sir has launched an investigation into the killing of Saif Gaddafi, son of the late Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. He was widely regarded as the most influential and feared political figure in Libya after his father, who ruled the country from 1969 until his ouster and death during the 2011 uprising. Sources say the killing occurred at Saif al-Islam's residence and was allegedly carried out by 4 unidentified individuals. Surveillance cameras at the property were reportedly disabled before the attack. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer says he regrets appointing Peter Mandelson as Britain's ambassador to the United States, admitting that with what he knows now, Mandelson would not have been given a government role. Mandelson was removed from his post following revelations about his links to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The Metropolitan Police have since launched an investigation into allegations that Mandelson shared sensitive government information with Epstein while serving as business secretary under former Prime Minister Gordon Brown. At the Gustav Rossi Institute, AI now instantly flags suspicious mammogram areas. They described it as a second look that enhances accuracy without replacing the radiologist's essential medical expertise. Radiologist Corinne Belligar explains that the technology using various parameters acts as a specialized partner, ensuring physicians don't overlook subtle anomalies. A Swedish study confirms AI effectiveness. Analyzing 106,000 scans, AI-assisted screening identified 81% of cancers, surpassing the 74% human-only rate, while significantly reducing the heavy workloads of medical staff. Well, despite these gains, human oversight remains vital to prevent overdiagnosis. Under the 2026 European AI Act, these high-risk tools must undergo strict safety checks to ensure patient protection. And that's it on the 6th edition for today. I want to thank you for being a part of it. Remember, you can send us your comments or reports to the WhatsApp numbers showing on your screen. Follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV on all the social media platforms. You can also watch News Central TV on those platforms and on DSTV channel 422, Go TV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Neota again.